Welcome to another detailed paranormal production. Today we offer you the paranormal details of the Greenbrier ghost case. And enjoy footage of the scenery of West Virginia, where the events of this case transpired. In 1896, a woman named Zona Heaster married a blacksmith named Erasmus Shue in West Virginia. The marriage was transitory. On January 23, 1897, one would die at the hands of the other. A newlywed's body was discovered at the bottom of the stairs by a neighbour. Initially, it appeared as a natural death. A newlywed collapsed. Their spouse was grieving. A doctor was sent for, funeral arranged. But from the inception, something was amiss. The deceased newlywed was Zona. By the time physician Dr. George Knapp arrived, Shue had carried his wife's body upstairs and redressed her in a high-collared black Victorian gown. Whenever the doctor attempted to examine her head area, Shue became intensely emotional and aggressive. Dr. Knapp attributed his behaviour to the shock of his wife's death. Shue's grief seemed overwhelming. Too overwhelming. You see, the high-collared dress had a purpose, to hide a clue. Zona's mother, Mary Jane Heaster, never trusted Shue. And after her daughter's death, that mistrust solidified. Mary Jane prayed for a sign from God. About a month after the funeral, God allowed Zona to appear at her mother's bedside, appearing for 4 consecutive nights, informing her mother of her murder. Zona's spirit said her husband, Shue, was in a rage over the meal she served. She said he had become so violent that he had broken her neck. And then, to prove it, the apparition turned her head completely around. The story of the Greenbrier ghost is one of the most unique cases in American legal history. A case where a woman's voice from beyond the grave helped expose her killer. The funeral deepened Mary Jane's suspicion. Shue stayed close to Zona's body. He placed a pillow behind her head. He kept her neck covered. He tried to behave like a man shattered by grief, but his grief seemed to have one clear focus: to keep anyone from scrutinizing Zona's neck. That detail matters because of what would later be found. At the time, mourners may have seen a grieving husband. But after the autopsy, his behavior appeared quite different. The high collar, the way he feigned grief, how he avoided the close examination of her neck. Those were not the actions of a genuinely grieving husband longing to maintain his bride's dignity. They were the actions of a man hiding evidence of murder. Mary Jane watched all of this with deep suspicion. After the funeral, she continued praying. She wanted the truth. And according to her, the truth came. 4 nights at the bedside. A month after Zona's burial, Mary Jane Heaster said her daughter's spirit appeared at her bedside. The apparition came at night, again and again. For 4 consecutive nights, Zona returned from the grave and told her mother what had happened. According to Mary Jane, Zona said Shue had been abusive. On the day she died, he had become enraged over dinner. Some say the argument was over the absence of meat. Then Shue attacked her. Zona said he broke her neck. And to prove it, the spirit turned her head completely around. That image is one of the most disturbing details in American ghost lore. A murdered daughter standing before her mother, showing the injury that had been missed. Mary Jane took action. She went to the local prosecutor, John Alfred Preston, and demanded that Zona's death be investigated. That took courage. A grieving mother walked into a legal office and said her dead daughter returned from the grave to name her murderer. She could have been laughed out of the office, but she persisted, and Preston listened. The grave is opened. John Alfred Preston did not build a case on a ghost story alone. He began by asking questions. He interviewed Dr. Knapp, who admitted that the original examination had been incomplete. That mattered. The doctor had not fully examined Zona's neck because of Edward Shue's behaviour. Now there was a legal reason for action. On February 22, 1897, Zona's body was exhumed. This was the turning point. The grave was opened, the body was examined, and the results matched Mary Jane's claim with chilling precision. Zona's neck had been dislocated between the first and second vertebrae. Her windpipe had been crushed. There were finger marks on her skin, indicating strangulation. The first conclusion was wrong. Zona had not died of heart failure or from childbirth complications. She had been murdered. And now Zona's body confirmed what Mary Jane had said. Edward Shue was arrested and charged with murder. The man and his grief. During the investigation of Edward Shue, like Zona, his past also returned to haunt him. Edward married twice before. His first wife divorced him because of his abuse. The second died under suspicious circumstances. Shue's vile history altered the case. No longer seen as a grieving husband, he was a violent man. A man whose behaviour after Zona's death now looked deliberate. The community could reflect on his actions from a new perspective. Moving Zona's body, redressing her, hiding her neck, interfering with the doctor's examination. The mock grief. He had nearly succeeded. Had Mary Jane not persevered, Zona's murder would have remained unknown. Edward Shue would have walked free. Details of the trial in Greenbrier County. In June 1897, Edward Shue stood trial at the Greenbrier County Courthouse. The prosecution handled the case with caution. They avoided making the ghost the focal point of their strategy. The other evidence was strong. The autopsy, the broken neck, the incomplete original examination, and Shue's odd behaviour after Zona's death. The prosecution did not need to prove the appearance of Zona's spirit. They only needed to prove that Zona had been murdered by Edward Shue. Then the defence made a catastrophic error. Shue's attorney cross-examined Mary Jane Heaster about the visions. Their goal was obvious: to cause Mary Jane to appear to be unstable and superstitious. Perhaps they could convince the jury that she was mercurial. But Mary Jane was consistent. She stood by her story. She testified that her daughter appeared to her on successive evenings. She stated that Zona explained the events of the night she died. She reiterated her previous testimony that the spirit of her daughter revealed the broken neck before the autopsy proved it. Instead of weakening her testimony, it made it stronger. The verdict. The jury heard about his suspicious behaviour, the concealed neck, and the incomplete examination. They knew that his first wife divorced him for physical abuse and that his second wife had died under suspicious circumstances. Then there was the autopsy evidence. The body had spoken in the only way a body can. Zona's neck was broken, her throat was crushed. The jury only took an hour to reach a verdict. Edward Shue was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison at the West Virginia State Penitentiary. He died there 3 years later during an epidemic. People remember the Greenbrier ghost case because of what preceded the conviction. A mother's prayers, a daughter spirit, and the truth Zona's body revealed. Did a ghost solve the murder? The Greenbrier ghost case is accurately described as the only American case in which testimony from the spirit of the victim facilitated the conviction of their murderer. That is powerful. The spirit did not stand before the court. The conviction was also based on physical evidence, witness testimony, Shue's behavior, and the autopsy. The ghost story was important because it impelled Mary Jane to act. She urged the prosecutor to reopen the case. Without her, there would have been no exhumation. No exhumation, no autopsy. Without the autopsy, Zona's broken neck may never have been discovered. So, did a ghost condemn Edward Shue? Legally, the answer is complicated. But did Mary Jane's claim of a ghostly visitation lead directly to the discovery of murder? Yes, today the Greenbrier ghost case is still remembered by Americans. An official West Virginia state historical marker stands near Smoot, commemorating the surreal legal anomaly. It tells the story of Zona Heaster Shue, her mother Mary Jane, and the ghostly testimony that helped expose a murder. Did Zona return from the dead to accuse her killer? How else could Mary Jane have known the details of her beloved daughter's murder? The Greenbrier case is not a typical story. It is about a woman who offered her love and was repaid with betrayal. A mother putting her faith in God, and the powerful loving bond between mother and child. Until next time, thank you so much for visiting Detailed Paranormal. Please return for more paranormal details.